Hey guys, and welcome to Dan's Kitchen, I suppose. One of the hurdles I constantly find people trying to navigate is trying to find time to make healthy and nutritious meals throughout the week. One of the best ways I've found to mitigate this is to do all your meal prep over the weekend. Now, it doesn't have to be a long, overbearing task. You can get this done in roughly about 60 minutes with a couple of helpful tips. Full disclosure, I'm far from a world-class chef. As a matter of fact, the majority of you could probably cook a lot better than me. But what I tend to do really well is maximize efficiency. So, watch the video, take some of these techniques, make it your own, and then maximize your efficiency in terms of how you do your meal prep on a weekend. That way, we can eliminate time being another barrier in terms of healthy eating throughout the week. So let's get started. Now, efficiency starts with what I buy in the supermarket. I try and buy things that are really easy to make. So for example, with protein sources, I usually go for these readily made options, like this beef brisket that simply requires you to heat it in the oven because the hard yards have already been done with a pre-cook. Then I look at buying things like minced beef and then already diced chicken breast. So all I have to do is add some seasoning. With carbohydrates, you can keep it really simple. Most supermarkets actually have like pre-diced sweet potatoes, so all you have to do is put it in the oven. Again, with rice, I keep it super simple. Sometimes I even find the barrier of me putting rice into a pot and pan and then steaming it that way is too much for me to bear. So I simply buy these microwavable packets. I can put them in the microwave as I'm doing the rest of my cooking, and then presto, my carbohydrates are done. So when it comes to veg, I like to make things as simple as possible. I'll grab some green beans and some broccoli and some other veg, and I'll simply put it in the steamer so I can set and forget it whilst I do all my other cooking. And then my secret recipe, salad in the bag. So all I simply have to do is put my hand in the bag and simply dump it onto my plate. Can't get any simpler than that, but at least you always have a ready-made option. Now, in terms of fats, I don't like to complicate things too much. So what I'll tend to do is I'll have a bag of mixed nuts kind of hanging around to be able to throw some mixed nuts to get my fat portions with my anytime and post-workout meals. Besides that, what I'll tend to do is cook with a coconut oil spray, which will equate to a level of fat content for my meals. But also, I'll have some avocado hanging around. I usually try and go for the tub variety, so it simply means I've got to squeeze it out. Again, just eliminating another barrier in terms of what I have to do in terms of prep. Now, let's talk variety, because this is a problem that I constantly come up with majority of my clients. They tend to find that eating the same proteins, the same carbohydrates, or even the same veg options tends to get a little bit boring, and they scream for variety. You want to keep things as simple as possible for yourself when it comes to choosing your proteins, your veg, and your carbohydrates. But here is where you can create all the variety that you need. Spices and seasoning. The next time you're at your supermarket, head to the spices aisle and fill up your cupboard with everything that you can get. For example, here I've got some chicken cashew nut stir fry meal base, which simply means I'll just put that onto my chicken for the week. But I also got different options in terms of a Moroccan seasoning, which I'll rotate from week to week. I got some pasta sauce, which this week I'll use to mix for my minced beef. But next week I'll simply rotate it and do some Mexican flavor with some spice mix for burritos mix. So now we've covered all the basics, let's get started and I'll show you how you can create some efficiency in cooking your meals for the week. Okay, so this is where we can really start to maximize our efficiency. So my beef brisket and my pork ribs are now in the oven, so they'll be sitting there waiting. Right, whilst that's waiting, I've also put my sweet potato into an oven tray, so when that's done, I'll simply put that into baked fruit. Now my steamed rice, I'm simply just going to grab the two, put it in the microwave, and then set that and forget that to cook. And now all my steamed veg, I've simply just grabbed and put it into a steamer. I'm just going to put that in for about 25 minutes, and it's just going to steam up my peas, broccoli, carrots, and everything else that I've got. And now whilst that's happening, I'm simply just going to heat the pan, and I'm going to start cooking my minced beef with my chicken here ready to go for when that's ready. Okay, so the beef brisket and the pork is still going in the oven and the sweet potato is waiting to go. But what I usually do is start to make up some meals for the week for me and my fiance. Now, she'll usually have the smaller containers and I will usually go the bigger containers, so there's a bit of a point of difference. I usually measure out my protein and carbohydrates because I use my MyFitnessPal approach, which is why I've got the scales out, but you can just as easily do this using your hand as the portion size. If you are using scales, usually the best practice is just to put your container on top, zero it out, and then you can start to put in your carbohydrates, zero it out again, then your protein, and then just put as much veg as you want in it. So let's go. Okay, so I just pulled out the brisket and the pork from the oven and I've distributed it amongst the containers. And so now I've got a good combination where I've got the bigger containers that I can pull from to have dinner in the evenings, and then my smaller containers that I can take with me to work for lunch. I found that setting myself up like this really eliminates the chances of me getting bored with certain foods, because I'm not just having the same food for 3 days in a row, but rather I can mix and match depending on what meal I actually feel like on the day. So a couple of things that I haven't actually touched on is for breakfast, what I usually either do is either go a super smoothie, which there is instructions on how to make one in the PDF, and then I will also do like an omelette, just like eggs and then like turkey breast or some spinach leaves in that as well. Or the other one that I usually do is some pork loin steaks, which I usually season and actually cook in the morning because they're quite easy and I like them fresh. And there you have it, guys, a really simple and easy solution to not having time during the week to cook. Just remember, make things as easy and as simple as you can for yourself. This will ensure that you're able to maintain these habits long term and not just in the near future. So whilst a lot of these meals seem super simple and are in no way going to get ready with a chef hat anytime soon, they're really easy to replicate week in, week out for a short period of time and able to keep you on track with your health and fitness goals.